So the issue of standing up for what is right is something that we want to support. And you don't have to believe what I believe, although you'd be wise to, but you don't have to believe. But we do have to have a common cause that we are trying to make the world into a better place. And therefore, we like to recognize those people who are doing that work. Because I cannot do everything, you cannot do everything. Collectively, we can do a lot. Amen. So we want to recognize people who we call ambassadors for peace. One such ambassador for peace is clearly standing before us today, don't you think?
Yeah.
Let's give her another round of applause. The Universal Peace Federation acknowledges as ambassadors for peace those individuals whose lives exemplify the ideal of living for the sake of others and who dedicate themselves to practices which promote universal moral values, strong family life, interreligious cooperation, international harmony, renewal of the United Nations, a responsible public media, and the establishment of a culture of peace. So I'd like to appoint today and recognize Daphne Fung as an ambassador. So thank you again, Daphne. That, you know, it's sometimes by fate, or we religious people say by God, that we are brought together. And that's how I feel about getting together with Daphne and hearing this message this morning. It's not by accident. And we gathered together to hear this message. And, you know, I usually get up here each month and tell a few jokes.
Say it.
It's hard to tell a joke when we're talking about such a serious matter. But I will.
Come on
That's my
now.
job. I don't want to feel my job. No. You heard MC butcher his Japanese words this morning. He tried. God bless him. But, and I have a Japanese wife, so I can get away with this little story.
Today.
So, you know, there was a farmer and he had a Japanese helper. And he asked the Japanese helper, "Can you go get some supplies? I really need some supplies. Can you go get them?" So the Japanese helper goes off and he's gone for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Finally the farmer says, "I gotta go find this guy." And he goes looking for him and he's walking down the road and the Japanese helper jumps out in front of him and goes, "Supplies!" When I get home tonight, there'll be a surprise for me. Okay, so any more supplies? That's the joke. But again, you know, this issue that we talked about this morning fits well with the Universal Peace Federation. The Universal Peace Federation, you know, founded by our founder, Reverend Moon, is especially promoting the idea of one family under God. We are all one family.
Amen.
Guess what? That makes you my brother and my sister.
Amen.
And I don't care what you believe.
Amen. Right.
And I don't care, you know, what your skin color is or where you came from. You are my brother and my sister. So tough, you can't get away from me.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
And therefore, if we are brothers and sisters, we're responsible for each other. I'm listening to this story about these young girls this morning. You know, I have a 17-year-old daughter. If somebody touched her, I'd lose my religion real fast. I kid you not. My daughter's a princess. You know why? Because I told her that when she was little. And she dressed as a princess, and she told me she was going to live in a princess's castle when she grew up, and she even said that I could be the prince. That's when she was little, I'm not sure anymore. But, you know, these are our children, these are our sons and daughters. We are one family under God. And if we are one family under God, we have to stand up for this situation. We cannot just take this lightly when people are suffering like this. I read the book about J.C. Dugard recently. You know, the girl in our area, Costa County. You know, she was kidnapped and she lived as a slave, a sex slave, for 18 years. Read that book if you want to, you know, get some facts on what's going on right in our neighborhood. It's shocking. We cannot just sit by idly and allow this to happen. Our movement is interested in building one family under God, and one of the problems, or one of the challenges of that, is the issue of immorality and selfish sexuality. It's a huge issue. Immorality and selfish sexuality. People gratifying themselves, they don't care what the cost is, they don't care who they're hurting, they're just doing it because they're selfish. This is a spiritual problem, and the spiritual people need to stand up.
Amen. Amen.
We're not going to change the world only by laws. We're going to change the world by spiritual people standing up and taking their spiritual responsibilities. So, you know, immorality and self-centered sexuality is a big problem. Also, the division in religion is a big problem. The divisions in Christianity and all the religions, if religious people all pull together in the same direction, we can change any laws we want.
Amen.
How many Christian, how many religious people live in this state? What's the problem? We lose our religiosity, we lose our spiritual strength when we're all focused on our own little thing. We need to support each other. We cannot all do the same thing. We need to support each other, but we need to come together as religious people. That's why we have these breakfasts. It's called a community of faith. We come together to highlight issues in our society and then see how we can get involved in them. It's no use highlighting them and not doing anything. Right? We got to then do something about it. So, you know, some years ago, when our founders started talking about the United Nations needs a religious conscience. It needs conscientious people who are above politics. People in politics are involved in you know, satisfying their constituents and getting re-elected and those kind of things. Religious people have to have a bigger mind. They have to have the mind of God, if you like. And they have to be the conscience of the nation and the conscience of the United Nations. So many years ago, when this issue was brought to my attention, I met Bishop Swing in San Francisco. And he told me he had the same kind of idea. That, you know, the United Nations needs renewal, it needs something different, it needs a religious component. And I just find that when God is with something, when something's empowered by God, you meet the right people at the right time. But then, hold on before you clap, but then you got to do something about it. How do you clap? Just knowing something doesn't help. Doing something is the hard part, is it not? So, you know, I heard the story of a church preacher. He was preaching to his congregation and he said, the church should walk. And everybody said, yes, we should walk. And then he got really fiery and he said, the church should run. And everybody stood up, yes, we should run. No, the church should fly. And everybody's really excited. Yes, the church should fly. And then he said, the church should pay for it. And everybody sat down and said, the church should walk. should run, fly, and pay for it. Did you hear me? Yeah. It went off the pocket there for a